NFL fans, week 11 coming at you. I got a great preview for you guys today. Detroit Lions on the road taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't be fooled by this Eagles green, guys. I'm going to give it to you straight as I always do here on the Jay All Day Show. And my prediction is probably going to surprise you as the Lions and Eagles square off in Philadelphia on Sunday. This game is going to be crazy. Who wins? If you guys want to continue to get this preview series where I take a couple games that I love each and every week, break down these rosters, the matchups, the injuries, everything you need to know to pick winners and losers each and every week. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you're into sports betting, check out my memberships. And if you want to get into some fantasy football, I got an underdog promo for you that I'll leave in the link in the description down below. $5 in, $100 in free entries if you're a new customer to Underdog there, guys. Eagles, Detroit Lions in Philly, baby. Sunday night football. Team metrics, overall rank, we got the freaking Lions at 4, the Eagles at 6. Defense, we got 7 and 8. Offense, how the Eagles offense is still ranked 10th. Not a 10th ranked offense in my opinion, but the Lions are still flying high. Love it, guys. Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts. You know, that's why you got to take these PFF grades with a grain of salt. Jalen Hurts at 81.4. Goff only a 73.9, right? And we see a clean pocket for Jared Goff means he's going to really be freaking awesome. Passer rating under pressure. Jalen Hurts has been great under pressure so far this year. You wouldn't know it from all the media attention, whether it's the tush-push bullshit or A.J. Brown crying himself to sleep every single night because he's not getting the ball. But it is what it is here, guys. If we look at the team records, the Lions, a little mixed reviews, 2-2 in their last 4. You know, beating the Bengals and the Browns doesn't really mean shit, really. You know, they lost to the Chiefs. They beat a Buccaneers team that's banged up, and then they lost to the Vikings, and they kicked the shit out of the Commanders without Jaden Daniels. The Eagles, on the other hand, you know, back-to-back wins over the Vikings and the Giants, and then they had 2 losses before that, right? Well, 3 wins. Sorry, I forgot about the Packers game. That incredibly exciting 10-7 win. So 3 wins in a row. Before that, 2 losses to the Broncos and the Giants, right? The Eagles have been scoring some points minus the Green Bay situation, right? It was cold and windy, but the offense with Kevin Patullo calling the play still isn't great. Injuries. Sam Laporta ruled out. That's a huge loss for the Detroit Lions. Penei Sewell, he's questionable, but from the reports I'm hearing, it's not great, right? So that's a bummer, right? And then the secondary for the Lions overall is just really banged up, right? Tons of guys on out and on IR again. It's a, pretty big bummer, right? And then the Eagles looking pretty healthy. Cam Jurgens, the center, looks like he's going to be back in the mix this week, so that's good for the Philadelphia Eagles, if you're rooting for the Eagles, obviously, right? Sports betting world, Lions at 2.5. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. Bet percentage, a lot of bets coming in on the Lions at 82%. For the spread, taking the Lions and the points. Money line, Eagles. That's kind of interesting there, guys. 65% of the money on the money line for the Birds, coming in around that minus 140 range, right? It's going to be a really freaking good game, but the weather in Philly should be interesting, right? We got any best bets to look at that they like? They like the Lions and the spread, a little bit of an edge on the money line as well, and then the total underdog, I don't love that. But this game's going to be a lot of fun, man. It could set up for a potential number 1 seed here in the NFC. Let's kick things off. Eagles on defense and this incredible offense for the Detroit Lions, right? Led by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta is out. That's a huge loss. And Gibbs and Montgomery continue to be very successful. If Penei Sewell is out, this offensive line all of a sudden becomes pretty mediocre, right? So we'll have to take a look at that. But Penei Sewell against newly acquired Jalen Phillips, who looked incredible, especially against the run for the Philadelphia Eagles last week, going up against the Packers and Josh Jacobs. He looked incredible. We are in our nickel defense. Makuba and Blankenship. Reed hasn't really played great. He played better last week, right? Adoree Jackson actually didn't look terrible last week, but he still only has a 49 overall grade for PFF-wise. Of course, you always got to take their grades with a grain of salt, but you kind of get an idea of who's been successful and who hasn't been. Nolan Smith, Jalen Phillips, Brandon Graham, all of a sudden, and Jalen Carter starting to play better. It's crazy to think that Jordan Davis is outperforming Jalen Carter PFF grade-wise for the first time, in his career. So that's pretty impressive stuff there by Jordan Davis, coming in really good shape, looking really, really good. And Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell, the linebackers, have looked really, really well as well. And Nakobe Dean is mixed in this whole front seven that's kind of very interchangeable there for the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You would think that the Sam Laporta matchup against these linebackers would be huge in this game and the safeties, but him being out is a bummer. So you put Quinyon shadowing St. Brown. That's what I'm doing, right? That's what I'm doing. They're going to want to run the football. I think to start, use play action off of that. Can they get it going with these linebackers of the Philadelphia Eagles? Can the Eagles linebackers get downhill, fill up these holes, and stop the run before it gets started? That's going to be huge. And the huge matchup is Jameson Williams, 6'1", buck 90 against Adoree Jackson, only coming in at 5'11", 185 pounds. That's going to be a huge matchup. And Blankenship's going to have to, creep over, because I think they're going to probably be in this cover 2 look for the most part with these 2 safeties in the back and these 5 guys underneath splitting up this middle zone here. That's going to be the matchup that Jared Goff's going to want to exploit, I think. And then can St. Brown consistently get the best of Quinyon Mitchell? St. Brown's got a lot of really good lateral quickness, right? So that's going to be a huge matchup to watch out. But the more I look down at the breakdown of these, Eagles defense, they don't match up terribly against a powerful offense. We got to keep our eye on Penei Sewell. If he doesn't play, this is a totally different game in my opinion, right? I don't think we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel in this spot from the Lions, but if the Eagles defense plays like they played last week against the Packers, they can make things tough for Jared Goff. The weather's going to be under 50 degrees, and we'll have to keep an eye on the wind there for this game for sure. Now, if we flip things over, we got the Lions defense, who surprisingly is playing pretty good considering how freaking shorthanded they are, right? Aiden Hutchinson is a monster. And Jordan Mailata is definitely not having the best year of his career, especially pass blocking, only at 76.4. Last year he was the best pass blocking tackle in the NFL. Lane Johnson gets carted off the field last week and then comes back. I haven't heard any reports that he's not going to play this week, but he's definitely not going to be 100%, right? And they do line up Aiden Hutchinson all over the line of scrimmage, so that might be a matchup that the Lions could want to exploit. See if we could flip him over, in base and nickel. See how in nickel he's lined up on this side on the line. On base he's lined up over here. So they're going to line him up all over the line of scrimmage. So if there's one matchup to exploit, it might be against Lane Johnson, coming off that injury and, with Aiden Hutchinson's explosiveness, right? The cornerbacks have not been great, but they have really good safeties, right? So they're able to keep the balls in front of them, not get attacked over their heads a lot in this spot. And the Eagles' passing game has been awful. Let's just call it like it is. And the run game has maybe been even worse. Saquon Barkley has been awful. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is not his fault. The offensive line has not been playing good. They're missing out on Mekhi Becton. Jurgens and Dickerson have not been 100%. Lane Johnson got banged up, right? So this is a really tough spot for the Philadelphia Eagles to get this offense rolling, right? In a game where you might have to put up 28 points to win. The Eagles defense, if they can keep Jared Goff under 20 points, the Eagles win. But if it's over 20 points, this game could go either way, right? And Muhammad in the middle of this D-line, having a career breakout year, looks pretty damn good. Really rushing the passer well. And if he could take advantage of Jurgens and Dickerson, that could be a matchup, worth exploiting for the Lions, right? But if you're the Lions, you probably want to just take Saquon Barkley away and see if Jalen Hurts can get this passing game going. So maybe you run a lot of cover one. That's probably what I would do. Have a single high safety here. Stack the box a little bit. Go man-to-man on the outside and see if Jalen Hurts can make you pay if you play a little man-to-man in cover one. I don't know if I'd do cover zero, just completely no safeties. But Cover 1 can make some sense, and then shift to cover 2 if they start to have some success in the middle of the field with Devontae Smith, Goddard, and A.J. Brown, who week after week has become a media distraction for this team. And I hope they don't get in a situation where the Eagles want to force feed him and then Hurts throws some interceptions. But for me, the keys to this game for the Philadelphia Eagles: establish the run, use play action. And it's very similar for the Lions, right? I'm thinking whoever has more yards, Gibbs or Barkley, wins this game. If Gibbs significantly outperforms Saquon Barkley, the Lions are going to win. And just because of last week and what I've been seeing all year long with this Eagles offense, I'm rolling with the Detroit Lions. And I do feel like Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams can exploit this Eagles secondary here in the spot. Missing Sam LaPorta is a huge deal, in my opinion, in this spot. He's a good blocker, excellent pass catcher, but we'll have to keep an eye on Penei Sewell. If Penei Sewell is out, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. But right now, give me the Detroit Lions and the +2.5, and I think they win this game straight up because Kevin Patullo can't call plays. He's holding back this Eagles offense and this overall team. So give me the Lions in this spot, 28-24 over my Philadelphia Eagles. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out Underdog Promotion in the description down below. You guys are the best.